afternoon, Cubes of the Cash. Gary B, the Casual Comic Guy here. And today, guys, we're here to talk about the Superman 2025 film by James Gunn. And we're going to get right into it. We're going to talk casting, pros, cons, and just give a quick summary of what I think of the movie. Now, again, before we get into this review, remember, any comments or opinions here are just my views on the movie. It doesn't mean you should watch it or not watch it. I always think you should make up your own mind no matter what the media is, no matter what it is you're intaking. So this is just me sharing my opinions in a fandom that I love. That is it. You are not meant to make a decision on if you want to see this movie or not based on my opinion. All right, so let's start out and preface this by letting all of you know that I am not a Superman comic reader. I never have been. I've read some of the bigger stories, really enjoyed them. I've read some stories recommended by Superman fans. And for each one that has been recommended to me, I have enjoyed it. I have thought it was really good. But overall, it's not a character that's ever really spoken to me. Now, having said that, I've gone and seen all the movies. And I've enjoyed them for what they are. Now, when I'm reviewing this one today, the 2025 Superman film, I am not reviewing it in a comparison to the 1978 Christopher Reeve one. I am not reviewing it in comparison to the Snyderverse and the work that Henry Cavill did over there with Superman. Now, both of those Supermans and both those actors are very beloved in the community. And, you know, when I saw Christopher Reeve play Superman, it blew me away. He's always been my favorite, most relatable Superman. You got Henry Cavill, who was a great Superman, but never ever got the successive films where he could end up shining as the character. He was a fantastic Superman, superbly cast, but he never got to be the Boy Scout Superman that his arc was taking him on, which was sad and too bad for him because he deserved it. He did great work in that role. But we're here today to talk about the David Corenswet Superman, and if this iteration of Superman worked for me. So we're going to start out by talking about the cast a little bit. I thought whoever cast this, the casting director and anyone else involved, just did a magnificent job. All right, David Corenswet was a great Clark Kent. I thought he played the duality really well, being Clark when he had to be Clark, but also switching gears and instantly, you know, the subtlety and the face change when he needed to be Superman, especially in the interview scene with Lois, which we were teased about in the trailer. And I thought that scene still worked really well. And that scene had some great moments of Superman in it without him wearing the cape. Just him in character. And I thought it was fantastic. And we'll talk about that more a little bit later. But Lois Lane, Rachel Brosnahan, very relatable in the role of Lois Lane. And I'm probably going to have to go on record as saying my favorite depiction of Lois Lane yet. I thought she was magnificent. I haven't really watched her in anything, but she came in and blew me away. I absolutely loved her depiction as Lois. Lex Luthor, Nicholas Hoult. What I've always thought has been missing from Lex Luthor in the Superman movies previous was menace. And, you know, they're always a little sticky, over the top, in my opinion, you know, and I'm not trying to cast any diversions or hate on him, but I thought, you know, at least for the little bit of Lex that I've read in comics, he is just menacing. He shows up and you're on guard. I thought Nicholas Hoult brought the menace that Lex Luthor needed. And I thought he nailed that part of the character really, really well. Just the rage, the calculating, the smarts, except there was a couple holes in that, which we'll talk about. Surprise for me. Again, a couple surprises. First one, Mr. Terrific. Eddie Gathagi. Amazing. Like, that dude just stole every scene he was in. His chemistry with Superman was great. His chemistry with the Justice Gang was phenomenal. And when he was alone and it was just him and Lois, fantastic. Also great. The guy just nailed every single scene he was in, and he just swept up your attention. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Can't say enough good things about Eddie Gathagi. Guy Gardner, Nathan Fillion, a fan favorite that everyone's cast him as everybody because he's just that beloved. And he shows why he's that beloved in this movie where he just nails the character of Guy Gardner. He is an ass. He's arrogant. He does have a heart in there somewhere, though, but everything begins and ends with his ego and his vision of himself. And Nathan just pulled that off brilliantly. All right, next up, Hawk Girl, Isabella Merced. I never heard of her either. I thought she was great in the role, a little underused, but every time she was on screen, I enjoyed her as a character. I think that she'll have bigger parts to play later, but what I saw of her, I really liked. I like her Hawk battle cry when she was fighting. I liked her fierceness. I liked that she was a little bit ruthless as well when she was fighting. So all that worked because you can't have all these characters in there and just make them different versions of Superman. Otherwise, Superman doesn't stand out as a character. They can't all not kill. They can't all not have moral quandaries, right? Because then you just have a bunch of copycat characters. So I like that about Hot Girl. She was definitely her own character. Another really good surprise for me was Metamorpho, played by Anthony Carrigan. And again, a small role, not used enough, but it's a good tease of what this character can be and how they can use him. The thing that surprised me about the portrayal of this character by him is how much heart he brought to this character in so little screen time. Like when this character was on, you felt the emotions with this character. You felt the heart of this character. You felt how much he cared, and you felt how good he actually was. And really big credit to the actor for just making you feel that much for this character in the little bit of screen time he had. Jimmy Olsen, fun little role. A really fun interpretation of Jimmy Olsen, which I think works really well in this universe. And they make this character important, but it's bit by bit. And it's salted and peppered throughout the movie, just in the right amount as his importance in this film grows. And I don't want to give any spoilers away of why he's important, but there's key elements in this movie that happen through Jimmy. All right. The engineer, Maria Gabriela de Faria, great menace, felt like a threat to Superman anytime she was on the screen. Sold her character in all the scenes she was in. The character was written a little one note, but that had nothing to do with the actress's portrayal. She did a great job. She was a very menacing villain, and you just felt her frustration at times too, which was a big part of who this character was. Very frustrated character, and you felt it. So great job as an engineer. Eve Teschmacher, or Miss Teschmacher, Sarah Sampao, was good in the role. Again, this is a bit character role who ended up having some really important elements to the movie, but she played with this character was supposed to be really well. You're supposed to find this character a little annoying. Also, you're supposed to empathize with her a little bit. She pulled off both of those. Well done. Cat Grant, Michaela Hoover. Again, a character that was a little underused in this, but when she was on screen, you enjoyed her presence, and it made you want to see what else could be brought to the screen with this actress in this role. So really enjoyed that as well. And also, and I didn't get to write his down, was Mr. Perry, Perry White. You knew he knew more. That when he was on screen, the actor did a good job of portraying somebody that knows what's going on around them more than people around him think he knows. All right, so and they make a call to that in a certain part of the movie, which is fantastic. But really enjoyed him in that role. So let's get to a few of the pros for me. Superman's light in his character, and I'm talking about the Boy Scout element, right? It was heavily on display, worked really well, and I thought it was a Superman we had been missing for a long time. Was the Superman that had the Boy Scout quality, the one that was having that arc in the previous universe, but never quite got there. I thought the light was always there, it always shone, and I thought it was something that was really needed in this performance. And I thought David Corenswet nailed it. I like too that he was allowed to show his anger, but his anger never outshone his light. But you had a Superman with some very diverse emotions: frustration, anger, confusion, and he was able to play all those so convincingly. Thought he did a great job. Again, the casting I mentioned was fantastic. The cast chemistry was great. Everyone had such good chemistry on this movie. Everything felt smooth, natural. When they were on screen together, you never felt like anything was kind of out of place on it. One of the things I really enjoyed about this is no origin story. You start this movie in an already established universe that Superman lives in. And I thought that was great. There was none of the slog of the introductions. We all know the origins of these characters by now. We don't need them reinterpreted over and over and over again. Superman's heart, he wears it on his sleeve in everything he does. Like that scene with the interview with Lois when he screams, "People were going to die," and you just see how much he cares as Superman, as a character. And his humanity, which shines through in all his decision making, right? And in all the mistakes he makes. Another big part for me was Jonathan Kent and the dialogue. The couple of scenes we got with him and his dad were amazing. The emotions that the actor showed playing his dad, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head, I apologize, was so solid on screen. You felt it. The way he teared up when he talked about his son, how much he cared about Clark, how much of a guiding voice he was for Clark. And even in a couple little scenes, you see that this character was just such an influence on who Clark grew up to be. Now, for some of the cons, the Kryptonian parents. I thought the Kryptonian parents were a little bit forgettable. I thought the Fortress of Solitude was cool. I thought the robots were cool, but the parents, there was a twist in it. And again, this is a review, so it's spoilers. So don't watch this if you don't want spoilers. But I thought the twist of them being evil just doesn't fit. And I understand why they did it, because this movie is about Superman's humanity, and he gets that from his Earth parents. And they do a good job of that, but I don't think you had to delegate his Kryptonian parents as having a negative agenda for him to make that part work. Right? I think the best is when Superman is a combination of both his Kryptonian parents and his parents on Earth, and I think together they're supposed to create the best version of what Clark grows up to be. Just my simple opinion. Another thing is, even though it was great for the character, Lex not being privy or smart when it comes to his girlfriend, Tess, right? Just in regular meetings alone, cell phones and other things are not allowed. There's no video recording allowed in any area where there's sensitive information that could get out. But yet, this guy who's able to outsmart Superman, manipulate basically the whole world, is allowing his girlfriend to take pictures in his secret headquarters with secret plans all over the wall and everywhere, posted up. Just one of those plot conveniences, right? The one thing he's not smart about. He allows, no one else had a phone in there, right? There was no other pictures being taken, no other filming going on, but his girlfriend could take all the selfies she wants in front of all these top secret plans, and it never occurs to him. That part I didn't buy. So that's like the convenience in storytelling. Krypto. Now, I did like the dog Krypto, but I thought he was overused. The out of control puppy that doesn't take commands, that grew a little old for me. And also Superman continually needing to be saved by him in a few scenes, I thought was a little overused and heavy-handed as well. I think Superman needed to be able to get himself a little bit more out of those than rely on the dog. But the dog was, brought to life well, but I thought a little overused. And next, The Shift. Everyone's adoring Superman when the movie starts. The whole world loves him. One thing is put out by Lex, and everybody instantly shifts their opinion. And not everybody, but most of the world. All of a sudden, Superman, nobody trusts him and he's bad, based on one thing. But not all the previous years' experience of Superman saving the world and countries and towns and individuals over and over and over again. That whole history of him saving people can be washed away with one media post, right? One media interview. So that felt a little rushed, a little convenient. Yeah, but overall, really good movie. Strong ending, some great dialogue again between Superman and Lex Luthor at the end, where Superman explains how humanity is his greatest strength, which I thought was just a fabulous speech. And again, interrupted by Krypto, which didn't really need to be there. It kind of interrupted the great speech that was going on with Clark and Lex Luthor. I didn't think it needed to be interrupted. I thought it was strong, and I thought it just needed to stand on its own and let people absorb it without that comical interruption. Now, overall, how am I going to rate this movie? We'll do it on a scale of 1 to 10. I'm going to give it a 7.5. This is a very good film. The only points that take away from me are a bunch of the plot conveniences. 1, 2, I got a little Lex burnout from all the movies of Superman having Lex Luthor in them. And I even forgot to mention in the beginning the Brandon Routh one, which, Brandon Routh was also a great Superman. He just was in a movie that had script issues. But there was nothing wrong with Brandon Routh's portrayal. Now, this one, I thought the script was pretty strong. I thought when they introduced all the other characters that were in it, like most people, I was concerned that they were going to have too many characters. But the way they were introduced was very natural. It felt legitimate, and it made sense. So nothing felt like it was forced in there to me. Again, most of my deductions are going to be for plot conveniences that take place in this movie. Where Lex not knowing that his girlfriend's taking, ignoring the fact that she's taking pictures. And like this Lex, who is so maniacal, who's so menacing, who controls everything around him to a minute point, and is even quite a dick about it to people that are around him, except her. He lets her get away with snapping pictures. Still doesn't sit well with me. That was my biggest point deduction. And the convenience of everybody just instantly disliking Superman. You would have had little pockets of people supporting Superman everywhere. You would have had people that have been saved by him, that owe their lives to him, that wouldn't change their opinion of him off of one media interview or post, right? But overall, 7.5. This is a movie I really enjoyed. I thought David Corenswet was just great. I already said Rachel Brosnahan was fantastic. And 7.5, maybe even more up towards the 8 point. Overall, this is a really fun summer movie. This is a really good Superman movie, in my opinion. And I think it's a really good introduction to the James Gunn universe at DC. And kind of set some expectations of what we can expect moving forward. Hopefully, the other directors we get for other films will have more of their own feel to their movies and a James Gunn feel. And I'm curious to see how that plays out once they get cast. But I would definitely love to see Mr. Terrific some more, Hot Girl some more, Guy Gardner some more, Metamorpho some more. Just these characters were were endearing to me. I liked them. I loved their chemistry. Thought they were a great band of misfits thrown together. And I thought the chemistry between David Corenswet and Rachel Brosnahan was off the charts, man. I thought those two were dynamite together. And anytime that they had scenes together, I felt the emotion. I felt the Superman Lois Lane tie, and I felt that bond. And that ultimately, just made the movie so much better for me. But that's just my opinion. Again, go see this movie for yourself if you haven't. And if you haven't, you shouldn't be watching this review until you have. So hopefully I didn't ruin too much for you. I will put a little spoiler thing in the beginning. But thank you so much for watching, and until next time, keep it casual.